There are a few jobs more dangerous than deep-sea saturation diving, where divers ascend to depths as great as 985 feet, 300 meters, to repair subsea structures. On these often month-long dives, divers live in pressurized chambers to keep them from getting decompression sickness. However, at those great depths, sometimes things go awry. Here are some deep-sea diving accidents that will shiver your timbers. Bifur Dolphin Accident. The Bifur Dolphin tragedy was one of the most serious deep-sea disasters in history. This incident occurred in 1983 on the Bifur Dolphin, a drilling rig in the North Sea. This is how it went down. On a typical day at work, two divers entered the rig's diving bell, which served as a transportation chamber for them to descend to the chamber system far below the surface. At first, everything appeared to be going swimmingly, with the divers taking turns resting and heading out to work on the rig. However, on one deadly day while underwater, two divers were resting in their decompression chambers, while another two divers made their way to the chambers in the diving bell. As the two tenders, the drivers, secured the bell to the chambers, everything was going as planned. The two divers on board would shortly be heading to their respective compression chambers. However, as the tenders prepared to leave, they forgot to fully lock off the diving bell from the chambers before beginning their ascent. The cells were rapidly decompressed from 9 atmospheres to 1 atmosphere, and air poured out. Tragically, 3 of the divers who were within the chambers at the time were killed in a tragic way by explosive decompression. Essentially, the nitrogen bubbles in their blood swelled, causing them to boil from the inside out. The fourth was sucked out of a very small orifice, ejecting his internal organs. One of the divers in the bell was also killed in the disaster. Wildrake Accident. The Wildrake disaster occurred in August 1979 aboard a North Sea oil rig. Two commercial divers, Americans Richard Walker and Victor Guel, stepped into a diving bell aboard the MS Wildrake, an oil rig support vessel, for this dive. Unfortunately, while the diving bell was at a depth of 525 feet, 160 meters, it became disconnected from the lift wire that was used to lower and bring it up. This meant that neither electricity nor heat were delivered to the diving bell. The oil rigging business tried everything it could to save the two divers who were trapped inside the diving bell, but it would take nearly 24 hours. The destiny of the two divers in the bell was sealed at that point. By the time the rig managed to lift the diving bell back to the surface, the pair of divers had died of hypothermia. Deal of subsea accident. Not every diving accident has happened in the North Sea. One particularly heinous deep-sea diving tragedy occurred in 2017 off the northeastern coast of Australia and was carried out by a business called Dolphin Subsea Australia. Dolphin Subsea Australia deployed numerous divers down between 778 and 885 feet, 237 and 270 meters, to operate on an underwater pipeline in this particular mishap. This was one of the deepest saturation dives in Australian seas, thus it was quite significant. Unfortunately, it appears that the corporation did not consider this dip to be significant. They neglected to provide their divers with the necessary gases to work at those depths. When the divers came to the surface, they began to complain of hallucinations, tremors, and cognitive difficulties, claiming that these symptoms had begun while they were still on the ocean floor. Further analysis revealed that the divers were suffering from high-pressure nerve syndrome, which occurs when divers breathe helium at great depths. While the symptoms were treatable and the divers suffered no long-term health consequences, Dolphin Subsea Australia was compelled to pay for their wrongdoing. Drill Master Accident. The Drill Master accident occurred in Norway in 1974, and it resulted in the deaths of two commercial divers. The two divers in question, Per Skiptons and Robert John Smith, were getting ready to work on the Drill Master when the disaster occurred. The drop weight on the bell malfunctioned and was released while inside the diving bell at a depth of 321 feet, 98 meters. As a result, the diving bell shot up to the surface. It would have been horrible enough if it was the only thing that happened. However, the diving bell's bottom door was open at the time. This meant that as the rig rocketed up to the surface, the pressure inside quickly changed and both divers died as a result of decompression sickness and drowning.